And by that, I mean on Wednesdays we read. I'm Hannah.
I'm Laura.
And we are usually two best friends who do a deep dive into a new book series one book at a time. But today it is a bonus episode.
Intermission time.
Because it's Indie Mission, bitches. Today we will be having a knockout round between a bunch of indie authors' books. And we will cover the one that is chosen in a month's time in October. So...
Yes.
Everyone buckle up as we do this.
And also, we're going to go through them, but
Yes.
be sure to go to our website and check out all of the contenders, because I feel like when we were doing the voting previously, we were able to give a little more traction and highlight the authors a little more. Now it's really hard for us to come up with a way to do the voting online. So this is kind of our best case scenario at the moment. But we still really would like you to check out all of the authors that are being featured in this episode and pick up their books or request them from your local library.
And also, like, a good way to get into indie books is to follow some different Instagrams that highlight indie books, because a lot of times they will point out when there's an indie book sale. There was one in August.
The Narratus sale goes on in the spring and fall, and that's a great one too for science fiction, fantasy, and horror.
And so sometimes you can get books for like 99 cents, which, you know, we always want you to purchase books from the author to make sure they make money. But if you have some money and you can spend on a couple different authors, that's always great as well. So make sure that you're keeping an eye out for things like sales or other things you could do to be supporting these authors. Hopefully, you know, we're speaking to you in the past, but hopefully Hannah has at least posted on all these authors on BlueSky, because the announcement, you know, went out after we even recorded this episode. But like Laura said, go over to ourpod.com, OWWRpod.com, where we have a post where we do a deep dive into or we give a brief overview, I guess, of each of the books that we will be voting on or flipping a coin on today.
Right.
So I'm going to go through each of the books so we can learn a little bit about them. And then we'll be using a random generator where it picks a number 1 or 2 or 1 to 3 to see which one moves on to the next round. So it's entirely random. So beginning on the left bracket, we have Kill 3 Birds by Nicole Kurtz. It starts with Prentice to Sifa is an investigative hawk who's been deployed from the Order to the small egg of Gould, a mountain village. A missing girl.
I'm so in.
Laura's like, hawks, here we come.
I love birds.
A missing girl has been found dead. Hawks investigate strange and difficult situations throughout the kingdom of Aves. They can see the unseen by accessing a unique ability to activate hawk-like vision, a trait they carry through their bloodlines. When Prentice arrives in Gould, she soon discovers that there isn't just one bird dead, but 3. Has the hidden town's secrets contributed to the deaths? Did the victims' controversial relationship? There's a serial killer operating in little-known Gould, and she has to find the person before she ends up next.
That sounds amazing.
I love the sound of this book.
I hope it wins. It's the first one, and I'm like, I hope it wins.
Well, hopefully generator. Laura will find other books that she loves. So the next is Bloodlines by Peter Hartog. Welcome to Empire City, where magic and technology coexist and humanity endures behind walls of stone and spell-forged steel. A place where danger lurks around every corner and anything is possible. When a former hotshot detective, Tom Doc Holliday, is recruited to join Special Crimes, he trades in his boring desk job for a second chance to do what he does best, hunt down killers.
You know what? We're in our urban fantasy era.
I know. So I think this is for people who love Dresden Files. So, like, if you guys are here for Dresden, I think you're voting for Bloodlines.
Yes.
I think that's what's happening.
And this would really just go seamlessly from Dresden into another urban fantasy.
And I think a lot of people love Peter Hartog. So, you know, do with that what you will. The next is The Exile of Zanzibar by Daniel Maidman. Daniel is like an artist. So if you go look at him over at BlueSky, he has like a ton of artworks up. They're beautiful. So, but this book, it says, Claire built a device to fold space and time. It had a flaw. When the smoke clears, she finds herself halfway across the world, thousands of years in the past, and no device in sight. In Bronze Age Florence, war has lasted for generations. All Claire wants to do is get home, but she'll need help from the locals. She wins an ally, a pickpocket turned soldier turned general who hopes to turn into something more than just her champion. Together, they broker peace between Florence and its enemy.
That one sounds really good.
I think we have some really good contenders this time around. Because the next up is The First Step by Tao Wong. This
Mhm.
was in our last knockout round.
Mhm.
So for people who are jumping into each of these, you know what this book is about. But Long Wu Ying never expected to join a sect or become a real cultivator. His days were spent studying, planting rice on the family farm, and spending time with friends. Fate, however, has different plans for Wu Ying, and when the army arrives at his village, he and many others of the village are conscripted. Given the opportunity to join the Verdant Green Water sect, Wu Ying must decide between his pedestrian common life and the exciting blood-soaked life of a cultivator. I wonder if he chooses the
Interesting.
blood-soaked life. Uh,
That kind of gives
next.
me vibes of like, um, I don't know. I was thinking of She Who Became the Sun a little bit.
Oh yeah, I think that that's a good comparison. And I loved She Who Became the Sun. What a good
Same.
book. So, and you've read a Tao Wang book already,
Yes,
haven't
I
you?
read
Yes.
one of his cozy restaurant books though, so very different feel.
But same author, you
Yeah,
know.
same author. I know there's writing chops. I just don't think that this is going to be the same type of situation.
Blood-soaked isn't cozy to you?
Mm,
Okay.
it doesn't sound too cozy. We were getting a lot of like awesome descriptions of noodles in the other book.
I love noodles so much.
You should read The Nameless Restaurant then, because Tao Wong wrote that one, and it's a novella and
Be making noodle
very
sounds
good.
all night. Next up is A Paradox of Fate by Rebecca Hefner. Dr. Elaine Laney Randolph was born with one sole purpose: to prevent the past. With her brilliant mind and unwavering spirit, she works tirelessly to solve the equations that will finally unlock the mystery of time travel. Then she will leave the post apocalyptic future her grandfather created and travel back in time to prevent his calamitous actions. So, this book
I
has
do
been
love a time travel.
I know, and this book has been on our radar for quite a few
Hmm.
indie missions. I don't think it always gets chosen just because of how many books we always try to pull from. But she recently redid the book design, and it looks a lot more romancy than I think Laura
Interesting.
is. Oh wait, no, I'm actually thinking of something different. But no, this has been around for a while. It's been on our radar, but I think it would be interesting, and it does have romance, which was our
Hmm.
last indie intermission,
Yeah,
and we both enjoyed it because it was
we
kind
really
of
liked
fun.
that. It was a romance, our last one. We really liked
Yeah.
that one.
And so this is more romance, sci-fi. So it'll be interesting to see that mix. So, and then last up in the left-hand bracket for our first six contenders is Partial Function by J.C.M. Byrne. If
Awesome
Tekken,
cover.
if Tekken starred Michelle Yeoh and was set on a Jurassic Park inspired cradle,
If
monster.
taken,
If Taken, sorry, Taken. I
I was like,
am
what do
so
you?
used to reading like fantasy, so I'm like, oh, if Taken. And it's like, no, if
Yeah, if
Taken
taken. Yeah.
starred Michelle Yeoh and was sat on a Jurassic Park inspired cradle.
Hmm.
Monster hunter Akina Azur inherited the most powerful weapon in the martial arts world before retiring to a peaceful life raising her twin girls. The Reaver has them kidnapped, thinking Akina will trade that weapon for their safe return. Will she, or will she use it to wreak a terrible retribution on the men who took her girls? You get one guess, Laura.
Hmm. I know JCM Byrne is like the author of Wistful Ascending, and so many
Yes.
people have been diving into that series and really loving it recently. So
Yeah.
I'd be interested to jump into either that series or this book and see like what's all the
I
hype
I
about.
think this is a good one to get into because I think this one might be more of a one shot for us.
Hmm.
And so
Hmm.
that's fun, but we get to have a flavor of
The
Burns
writing style.
writing. Yeah. So, or it's like cozy fantasy noodles versus. I think that they're pretty similar, but just from my review of everyone. So, and then moving on to the six contenders in the right bracket. The first starts with an actual coming of age story, not one we usually would
Mm.
cover, but it's called The New Frontier by Wayne L. Wilson. During the era of President Kennedy's New Frontier in 1961, the Coles, a black family from a small southern town, seek to reap the golden harvest of job opportunities and better lifestyles in Los Angeles, California. These pioneers move into an all white neighborhood where they quickly discover their kind is not welcome. Poignant and humorous, this coming of age story is narrated by Samuel Scott Cole, whose innocent and imaginative observations impart how this life changing event affects him and his parents.
Okay, that sounds really good.
I know it sounds like I was excited that this one got picked because I feel
I
like
do like a historical drama, honestly.
right, and it's a different type of indie that we haven't
Yes.
experienced much, and I do think that would be interesting to cover and kind of bring to listeners of the pod, or just like,
Right.
people who are fans of Wilson's work or might be
Mm-hmm.
fans of historical fiction. So, and then we also have next is Revenge Arc by Cat
Which this
Voleur.
one has been in several indie missions, so it
I
would be
know.
kind of
It'll
nice
be
to
fun.
move this one up.
I always like when we get to move them up. When controversial comic creator Riley Langdon is faced with an unimaginable crime committed in her name, she retreats from the spotlight she spends years seeking. But as media, fandom, and obsession churn, Riley's story takes on a life of its own.
Obsession.
Obsession. And then another kind of obsession, it seems like Odd Blood by Azalea Crowley. Stuck. That's what Josephine Pajum. Oh gosh, that's what Josephine felt like.
Pajimula.
Pajamula, thank you. A burnout millennial on the verge of losing her housing, her roommate, and maybe even her best friend. It made perfect sense to go to a Halloween party, ignore her feelings, and spend the time searching for apartments instead. A chance. She hadn't expected meeting him. A man in a vampire costume took a hard fall in front of her. Against her better judgment, Josephine is determined to make sure the stranger makes their way home safely. Alarm bells in her head be damned. Laura, do you
I'm
think
just
that
going to
this is
venture
a
a guess that this is
vampire?
not a vampire costume.
I don't think it's a vampire costume. So we have vampires, and then moving on, we have wolves with Phase by Tori Taken or Taken. Is
Tori
it
Tekken.
Taken? Okay. That's
Tekken.
where Tekken. Thank
It's
you. Oh,
Tecken. This is Tori Talks on YouTube for listeners. She has a really great YouTube channel. I really like her book content on there. She has some really great things.
thank you for correcting my spelling. According to the Department of Domestication and Assimilation, Val and Lila Blackwood are the most dangerous kind of werewolves. Although they were raised in the wild, their true blood heritage has made them little more than experiments for years. Now their freedom depends on their ability to become as human as possible, thrown into an assimilation school with humans and werewolves who have never known what it means to be wild. Next up, this is the one that the cover was changed. She's been here for a while.
Okay.
But The Drift by Casie Aufenthie. In a future where the human race has split into three species, the mentally evolved Illuminados have conquered the other two in a brutal evolutionary war. Now, the seven most powerful Illuminados, the Council, control the Earth, ruling over the other two human species through violent oppression. I
Okay. I
think
hate to say like violent oppression sounds awesome, but that book sounds very good.
it looks like there's a romance too, because the cover was like
Oh,
originally, I
interesting.
think, so like if I scroll up, it's like, ooh, that is
Okay.
romance.
Yeah, where it's
Yeah.
like silhouettes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think there might be
I'm
some
intrigued.
romance. I think there might be just some overall. And I did read some reviews on Goodreads that like she really does look at like violent oppression pretty like
Mm,
realistically, where people are like, I was uncomfortable with the way that some people were treated, but also
sure.
that's the whole point of an oppressive
Right.
society is they oppress people. So I do think that that's interesting to read about.
I
So.
appreciate that review.
Yeah. And then Kingdom of Forgotten Curses by A.R. Kaufer. The prince is a bloodthirsty soldier who enjoys death, fine wine, and the company of beautiful women, until one fateful night when everything changes. 80 years later, the king's barrister, Marius, discovers a reference to the prince and is immediately sent upon a mission of discovery by the king, much to the dismay of his three daughters. At the chateau, Marius makes a deadly mistake, and now someone must pay the price.
Interesting.
That one looks deep. I think we have some really good contenders this time. I
Yeah.
mean, we always do, but like these feel a lot of fun so coming. So I'm a fan and I can't wait to start voting, Laura.
Yeah, let's start flipping that coin because I get like nervous with these types of things and I just like need to know who it
Laura needs
is.
to know what we're reading and when. So let me
And it's a weird thing to be nervous about, but it just happens.
So the first up is Kill Three Birds, the book that Laura hopes moves forward, or
The winner.
Bloodlines, which I've heard online is really great. So we are spinning.
Which one is which?
Number one is on top.
Okay.
Oh no, right on the line. Laura, I hate to tell you this, but Bloodlines is moving forward.
Well, you know
So
what? I'm doing a separate indie mission.
Laura's just gonna
And it's
come and be like, I read Kill Three Birds last night
I'm
and it
gonna
was
be
amazing.
you know what? There was another bird book in the last. It was about gooses or geese.
Yeah.
And so I think I'm just gonna do a bird mission. Like
Do a bird mission, Laura.
just a separate podcast all about bird books.
I usually do a small September where I mostly read novellas in September. You should do a species September and just do bird species.
The Year of the
Uh,
Bird.
the Year of the Bird. All right. Next up is the Exile of Zanzibar versus the first step in the A Thousand Lee series. So
Did it go? Oh, never mind. Now it's going. It's
it's a
spinning.
little
It's
bit
spinning.
slower. We're doing a spin this time instead of a random number generator because sometimes I have
Okay.
a hard time knowing when it changes. But this
Oh, when
one,
it changes?
yeah, like when it like sometimes I'll hit it and if it's 1 and 1, I'm always like, did that change or did I click
Oh,
it? And
gotcha.
so we're trying spinner. We'll see if it works. It's a
Okay.
1, so
The
it's the
Exile of
Exile of
Zanzibar moved
Zanzibar.
on.
So and then we have romance, a paradox of fate, up against dinosaurs with partial function.
Which
So
are basically birds. Dinosaurs
they are
are
basically
birds.
birds. Species September, here we come. So,
And because I said that, it won't win.
I know that would be very sad. I think, guess what? It won.
Birds
Partial
moving forward.
function is moving forward,
Prehistoric
everyone.
birds.
So, left bracket moving into the three will be Bloodlines, the Exile of Zanzibar, and Partial Function. But first,
Interesting.
we want to get through the right bracket, which is the New Frontier versus Revenge Arc. So, old versus new, kind of for us. So, we'll see which
I
one
hate to say
wins.
old, but one that's been in the bracket
Yeah,
for
not old.
one that's been an indie mission contender
I've
before.
had my eye on it. I feel like I need to read that book because it's been like
Hmm.
sticking in my mind. And guess
And
what?
it's moving forward.
It moved forward. Revenge
Revenge
Arc
arc.
is going into the second choice. And then we have Odd Blood versus Phased by Tori Tecken, which I misspelled her name before, and it won't be misspelled now. So
Which I feel like I've heard of Azalea Crowley too. I I'm not sure where
I
I've heard
think
of
we
this
voted.
author.
Well, we had her in the last round.
Okay.
So, um, but it's Tori's book moving forward, everyone.
Tori.
Phased is moving to the next round. And then our final in the first round bracket is The Drift versus Kingdom of Forgotten Curses.
There's like so much spinning happening
I
and
know.
it's just like dead space and I forget that this is an audio format. I'm just like staring and I'm hating to leave
And guess
the
what?
listeners hanging.
Kingdom of Forgotten Curses is there. I know I need to be better at ramping, or vamping, but the next round will just be a pick a number between 1 to 3 because I can
Okay.
usually check, and I don't know how to update that spinner. So, uh,
Gotcha.
number between 1 and 3. Okay, so we're generating a number between 1 and 3, and remember this is Bloodlines, the Exile of Zanzibar, and Partial Function.
All right.
And
Let's see.
moving forward is the Exile of
Exile of
Zanzibar.
Zanzibar.
I think this is the
Interesting.
first time we've covered this one in Indie
Mm-hmm.
Mission as a voter.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. And then the next one moving forward between Revenge Arc, Phased, or Kingdom of Forgotten Curses will be.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun,
Revenge
dun.
arc.
It's Revenge Arc. Ooh. All right. And then Revenge Arc is now in number 1, and Exile of Zanzibar is number 2. That's how
Let's
Hannah's
spin that
always
again.
set up the this is how I've always done it. I don't know why, but it does feel fun. You're like switching it
Mm-hmm.
up in the last category and we are spinning to see which
Spin,
one
spin,
we will
spin.
be covering. It's very funny because it spins and then it'll like freeze, so it almost like
It almost looks like it changes direction, which is
I know
weird to me.
visual format and everything. And it is one which is Cat Valore's
Cat
Revenge
Voleur.
Arc. Congratulations. Like I said, Kat
Cat.
has been on here before on the indie mission, so
Yes.
it's actually pretty exciting that we get
Actually,
to
it's kind of
cover
cool
her.
to have one that's been on for multiple indie missions.
I think
Make it
we've
to
had that like
the end.
2 indie missions ago, so like we always
Yeah.
like to see one where it's like, oh, we've been with you for a while, and then
Yeah.
so as everyone remembers, Revenge Arc is about a controversial comic creator named Riley Langdon, and they're faced with an unimaginable crime committed in her name, and she has to retreat from the spotlight. So this one sounds really fun and a little
This is the
bit.
one with obsession churning, right? Yes. Yes.
I think so.
Obsession.
Yes, it churns and takes on a life of its own. And so I can't wait to cover this one. It looks interesting. The cover
And
is
I've been reading a lot of
gorgeous.
horror, so this might
It's
be. Perfect
And
timing.
it is spooky season when we're covering this, so it's the perfect time to cover a little bit of a darker one. So, as a reminder, we do a giveaway of
Yes.
this book. So make sure that you're following us over on our social medias.
Hmm.
We'll probably do a giveaway via BlueSky and Instagram where you can join
Okay.
on both. Because I think TikTok is a little bit harder to do. um,
Fair
but
enough.
please make sure you guys are going over there to enter into a giveaway for this book. We always give away one physical copy. And as a reminder, with what Laura said, please make sure that you're going over to ourpod.com and seeing all of these contenders. The
Yeah.
entire
Give them all some love.
the entire focus of Indie Mission is to bring, to the forefront different indie authors and really highlight one of their books in a very special and unique way. But that doesn't mean that all of the rest of them don't deserve love. Like we
Right.
said, Kat has been on here for a while, and so we're very excited to read her book. But Laura's going to have like a bird September or a
I'm
species September, maybe. So.
I mean, I'm not committing to that, but uh I will be enjoying a lot of bird books, I'm assuming, because there's
Yes.
a lot of these authors apparently have like specifically targeted me with bird fantasy books. So yeah,
Wingspan
I'll
hit the
be enjoying
market,
that.
and people said bird books. So
Yes.
make sure that you are
I will
following
say
all.
too, just in case people are wondering, you can just go into like Libby deep searches and look up specific indie books. I've been able to, like, if you find an indie author online and you want to support their work, but you maybe don't have the funds, you can do deep searches on Libby and request the works, and you're often able to get them that way. Libby is really great about getting those works for you.
Good.
So,
Well, we can't wait to cover this. Make sure you guys are getting the book now and reading it during the month of September as we get into spooky season and want to cover Revenge Arc with you.
yes.
And, thank you so much for joining us today and listening to the plot lines of these wonderful authors. If you would so choose, please remember to follow us over on Instagram, Blue Sky, TikTok, or even our Discord, OWWR Pod.
Hmm.
And, check out our website for the third and final time at
Hmm.
ourpod.com. And, if you could, please rate, review, and subscribe. It's a great way to get other people to come and listen to us,
Yeah, it
especially
really
as
helps.
we head into Indie Mission, because it can really pull a lot of people into
Yeah.
this
Share
community.
with a friend.
Yeah, and thank you for listening today.
Bye.
Bye.